Okay, today and tomorrow you are going to be solving proportions. All right, solving proportions. And when you're solving proportions, what you're going to be solving is a proportion is when you have a fraction equal to another fraction. All right, so an example of a proportion would be 5 over 16 equals 3 over a. This is an example of a proportion. And in order to solve a proportion, to solve, criss-cross multiply. Alright, the first step is to criss-cross multiply. And what I mean by that is you got to multiply the 5 times the a. So 5 times a is 5a. And then you multiply the 16 times the 3. And 16 times 3 is 48. And now you've done this problem all year long. There's only one step left when the variable is being multiplied by a number. You would divide both sides by 5. And a would be equal to, somebody divide 48 by 5, please. 9.6. 9.6. You will see proportions today where you have a negative. So you may have k over 5 is equal to 12 over negative 7. And no matter where the variable is, I always like to multiply the variable first because that keeps the variable on the left-hand side of the equal sign. So if you take k times negative 7, that gives you negative 7k. And that's equal to 5 times 12, which is 60. Your next step is to divide both sides by negative 7. The negative 7's cancel, and k would be equal to negative 8.57, you said?
Yeah.
Negative 8.57. Then the problems will progress to look like 7 over 4 is equal to 3x over 12. So if you multiply the variable first, if you crisscross multiply with the variable first, you're going to take 3x times 4. And that would be 12x. And that's going to be equal to 12 times 7, which is 84. The next step would be to divide both sides by 12. The 12s will cancel, and x will be equal to 7. Now back to this previous problem, the k problem equals negative 8.57. Let's round these to the nearest tenth today. So you're going to round it to this number. So in your calculator, you can push second, if you have a black calculator, you can push second fix 1. And negative 8.57, when you round it to the nearest tenth, is going to be equal to negative 8.6. Any questions so far? The next progression in your proportions, now you'll have a binomial in the numerator. So t minus 3 over 2 is equal to 8 over 9. And the first step is to still crisscross multiply. So when you multiply t minus 3 times 9, you're going to have 9 times t minus 3. And that's going to be equal to 2 times 8, which is 16. So now you have to do the distributive property. So 9 times t is 9t. And 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. Still equal to 16. You're going to, or you would, add 27 to both sides. So 9t is going to equal 43. And then divide both sides by 9. .7 repeating, so did you push second fix 1? Very good, 4.8. So t is going to be equal to 4.8. So you've got two problems that'll look like that, and then the progression is to 3 over x minus 4 is equal to 10 over x plus 1. Now in this case, you're still going to crisscross multiply, but you're going to have to do the distributive property twice. So you're going to take 3 and multiply it by x plus 1. And make that equal to 10 times x minus 4. Distributive property on both sides. So 3x plus 3 on the left is equal to 10x minus 40 on the right. So when there's a variable on both sides, I would subtract, or I would move the smaller variable. So in this case, you could subtract 3x from each side. And the 3 would fall down, and it would be equal to 7x minus 40. Next would be to add 40 to both sides. So 43 would equal 7x. And then divide both sides by 7. .14, and that's going to be 6.1 is equal to x. Any questions yet? Alrighty. The last two types of problems you'll see will be word problems. One of them will say something like, Davion can read 8 pages in 3 minutes. How many pages can he read in 1 hour? So when this happens, you're going to set up a proportion. And your proportion that you set up will be pages over minutes. So you're going to write a proportion that demonstrates pages over minutes. So you start with the information that's given. He can read 8 pages in 3 minutes. So 8 over 3, and you set that equal to, how many pages can he read in 1 hour? That would be P over. Now, since the first time number was in minutes, the 3, you have to set the hour in minutes. So it's P over 60. Yes? That many. That's impressive. Well, 3P would equal 480, wouldn't it? Yeah. After you crisscross multiply, 3P would equal 480, and then you would have to divide both sides by 3. So the 3's would cancel, and P would be equal to 160. So Davion can read 160 pages in 1 hour. Does anybody have any questions? All of the work that you're doing today, you've done already this year, except for the crisscross multiplying in the first step. But that's just really taking a problem or a proportion and putting it into a new format.